This year was the first year of our performance-based budgeting committee, and as you know, we cycle through every year several tax credits. Unfortunately, when we did have the hearings, you weren't there, but Mr. Dunkelberger stood and did an admirable job in your stead. And I just wanted to get your input and your thoughts on it. This year we went through 3 different tax credits, and there was a nice variety there, so it makes it interesting. The first one was a historic preservation tax credit, which is, I mean, there's no true way of measuring any return on investment there, and that does seem to be doing its intended purpose there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to, other than the fact that it deals with blight, obviously, and it deals with communities able to put some capital towards some of their iconic buildings.
And next was the new jobs tax credit, which gave a completely different outcome there, where it does not seem to be filling its intended purpose with, I believe the study said that 95% of the jobs that used a tax credit would have been created without the credit, that it's 10...
Yeah, that was in their opinion.
Yeah, and yes, and a $10.1 million cost. And I read in the budget book that 35 companies and 45 individuals accessed that credit last year, and negative return on investment. There was a few suggestions in there on what we may or may not want to do. I was wondering if you had any input on that.
Yeah, I think it's something that we are talking right now to the administration, and I think we'd love to have further conversations with the legislature on that. I think one of the big recommendations in the Job Creation Tax Credit Program was the ability to sell or refund the tax credits. The folks from the IFO thought that was something that really needed to happen, and it's something that would probably make the program much more viable if, in fact, that it's not too much of a headache or not too much of a concern for the budget going forward. But we certainly want to continue to have those discussions and think it makes sense.
And there was also a suggestion of maybe reprogramming it or using those dollars elsewhere within some other tax credit, or
we think
eliminating it completely.
We think it's a valuable program. We think it gives us an opportunity to help attract companies, to help companies that are expanding in Pennsylvania, to help to reduce some of the costs for those expansions. So we think it's absolutely a critical program. But we think that there can be some changes to it, too.
I agree. Changes definitely are necessary with that. Lastly was the film tax credit, which was $65 million a year, essentially. And it has a return on investment calculated by the IFO of 13.1. And I will go back to the conversation you had earlier with Representative Kruger, and you had specifically said it's all about the return. Is this 13.1 a good enough return, or should we be looking for more? And understanding that there's different ways to deal with the credit. 7 states have had credit, have gotten rid of it. Georgia, on the other hand, has increased their credit significantly. I was wondering where you stand on this.
Here's where I stand on it, and I know I acknowledge the fact that it's 13.1. I think whatever the number it is for every dollar that the state spends, which does not look like a good return. I think some of the things that aren't captured, and I've said this, I think the last few times that I've been in front of you folks in the last 4 years, I think there's some things that aren't captured with the film tax credit. Certainly the jobs that are there, I see in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh primarily, but maybe some other places too. But what's not captured to me is the value of the image of the areas where some of these films are being filmed. The films, the TV shows, and the fact that there's a value to that's not captured within that 13.1 cents, and that's a great value to us. I think it helps with the image of some of the areas, the cities, and some of the areas where these films are located, and I think that in order to effectively determine what the actual rate of return is, that has to be taken into consideration. It's a difficult thing to take into consideration, I'll acknowledge that, but it has to be taken into consideration.
But that's a non-monetary return, is it not?
Yes and no. I mean, if we were marketing, If we had the opportunity to market, like a film, markets or a film is seen by millions and millions of viewers, that's marketing, and those are images that people see of the city of Philadelphia or the city of Pittsburgh or Erie or wherever the films are being filmed, or the television shows are being filmed. Television shows, again, are also, and I think that was referenced in the IFO report too. Those are ongoing opportunities. A film is once and done. The television shows are ongoing. So there's a discussion about whether there needs to be more of an emphasis on those types of opportunities too. But I think it needs to be captured differently. Some of those things need to at least be acknowledged within these reports.
And I am out of time, but I will say that, the more money we keep channeling into it, I don't know. I'm not very comfortable just yet with that type of dollars. And to this day, California still has a film tax credit. So, which kind of amuses me that some place like that needs to have a film tax credit still. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.